So good morning, everybody. Welcome to this, our final cabinet meeting of, well, hopefully our final cabinet meeting of 2025. There's not much time left to have another one, but you never know at the minute. Normal housekeeping statement from me. So thank you for attending this meeting of Cabinet. Whilst the meeting is open to the public, it is being recorded and broadcast live on the County Council's website and will be available for repeat viewing. It may also be recorded and filmed by the press and public. Filming or recording is only permitted in this room whilst the meeting is taking place, so must stop when the meeting is either adjourned or closed. Filming is not permitted elsewhere in the building at any time. If the filming of the meeting is paused for any reason while the meeting is still taking place, then an audio recording will be commenced in order to assist with minute taking and to resolve any lack of clarity. Audio recordings will not be broadcast. And something else will happen. I've lost my place now. Sorry. So an audio will not be broadcast. We are not expecting a fire drill. That's the next bit. So we're not expecting a fire drill, but in the event that there is a fire alarm, please vacate via the main reception or via one of the emergency exits across the hall. So apologies for absence is the first item. I can see that we are all here, so no apologies today, or apart from just one from Councillor Rob McCatter, who is one of our select committee chairs, and he's attending the South Downs National Park, of which he's a member today. Declarations of interest, so all members who believe they have a disclosable pecuniary interest in any matter to be considered at the meeting must declare that interest and, having regard to Part 3, Paragraph 1.5 of the County Council's Members' Code of Conduct, leave the meeting while the matter is discussed, save for exercising any right to speak in accordance with paragraph 1.6 of the Code. Furthermore, all members with a personal interest in a matter being considered at the meeting should consider having regard to Part 5, Paragraph 4 of the Code, whether such interest should be declared, and having regard to Part 5, Paragraph 5 of the Code, consider whether it is appropriate to leave the meeting while the matter is discussed, save for exercising any right to speak in accordance with the Code. Declarations of interest, I think, Zoe, you've got a personal one to declare.
It's a personal interest because I chair a multi-academy, which is post-16 education, and we are debating the skills strategy, and also that I'm a non-exec director for Business South that supported the LSIPs, which is also involved in the skills strategy.
Super, thanks. Any other declarations of interest? Ros?
Thank you. Just to declare that I am a governor at Farnborough College of Technology, and obviously with a skills strategy as well.
Super, thanks. Any others? No? Clearly they're personal interests rather than pecuniary ones, and so you can still stay and take part in the meeting. Item 3 is minutes of previous meeting. To confirm 2 sets of minutes, we've got the minutes of the 30th of October and also the 11th of November, both of which are in your pack on ModGov. Are you all happy with those? Happy to agree them? Agreed, thank you. Deputations, we've received no requests for deputations, and we've got no requests to speak from non-executive members. Chairman's announcements. I suppose the one thing that is most at the forefront of our mind at the moment is devolution as a consequence of the announcement last week of the postponement of mayoral elections, and the government are minded to postpone them until 2028. I have to say really clearly, as the statements that we have made collectively as the leaders of the 4 upper tier authorities in Hampshire and the Solent, that despite the government suggesting or insinuating in their reasoning for being minded to postpone these elections that the councils were not ready, we are absolutely ready. And to suggest that we are not is complete rubbish. All 4 upper tier authorities have worked remarkably well together, and all 4 upper tier authorities remain working remarkably well together. As you might imagine, we've met on a number of occasions as a group of leaders and chief executives over the last few days. We are very clear on our position. We will be meeting with government ministers on Thursday and we'll be putting forward that position to them and explaining why we think the decision to postpone the elections is entirely wrong. There is no reason to do so. Hampshire and the Solent are ready. We should be able to deliver a mayoral combined authority or a mayoral strategic authority from the 8th of May onwards, and there's no reason to delay. Our officers have worked exceptionally hard to get us to that position. We've done everything that's been asked of us and more. And to suggest otherwise is completely unacceptable. And we should be quite clear about this. This has nothing to do with the inability of our councils to deliver devolution. It is entirely about the government changing their priorities, changing their ministerial team, and wanting to deliver local government reorganisation first. But there are a whole host of complexities now around having to rearrange this. We need to go back through our democratic loop to agree the revised arrangements that they wish us to put in place. That will take significant amount of time and energy, and we only have a relatively short period of time to do that before the beginning of the election period on the 24th or 25th of March next year. So we're looking for clarity from government. We're looking for an improved way forward, and I will be reporting back to everybody once we've held those meetings later this week. It's extraordinarily frustrating, and I can tell you that all of us are totally aligned. And you remember that you've got 4 leaders from 4 different parties in 4 different authorities, all of whom are very clear that we want to deliver the best for Hampshire, for all of our residents, for the 2.2 million people of Hampshire and the Solent. And there is no reason why the fact that the government haven't been able to sort this in time at their end should hold us back. Let's talk about something much more cheerful, Christmas. So we had our annual staff carol concert last Thursday. Thank you to Gary and Cabinet for chipping in to provide the mince pies and mulled wine for people. I think we had a really super time. Everyone seems to be very happy. Seemed very happy at the end of it. Some fantastic music from the Hampshire County Youth Band, and also from Sophie, who was the singer who did some who did some fantastic solos as well. There are not many other settings as magical as the 800-year-old Great Hall across the road. Not least when this year everyone was sitting in front of Santa's Grotto, and that was even more festive. So thank you to everybody that arranged that, because we had it was really well attended. The hall was full, and everyone had a really good time. So that was a really positive experience for us all on what was otherwise quite a grim day of news around devolution. The other thing about Christmas is just to remind everybody, and I keep on saying this ad infinitum to people, as does Lulu, that junction 10 of the M27 will be closing on Christmas Eve at 8 o'clock. So the M27 will close between junction 9 and junction 11. It will remain closed from 8 p.m. on Christmas Eve to the 4th of January for what is an incredible piece of engineering to create the new junction for Wellbourne. There is an enormous workforce that will be working on that over the Christmas period. I know that both Lulu and I are going at different stages down to see the progress and to say thank you. If you are travelling across southern Hampshire and you use the M27 between Southampton and Portsmouth over the holiday period, please be aware of that closure and make extra time for your journeys, because there will inevitably be congestion around Fareham on the A27, which is the main diversion route. We're doing it this time of year because actually the volume of traffic is far less than it would be on a normal work day in the rest of the year. But even so, that doesn't mean that it's not going to be disruptive for everybody. So do please be aware of that and look out for all of the communication around that and all of the diversionary signs. And also look out for the incredible footage that we will have of the concrete box being slid into place once the embankment upon which the motorway runs has been dug out, and then the motorway being relaid over the top of it, all within a 12-day period, which is going to be something. That's all I have to tell you about. So we've got just a few different items to discuss this morning. The first of which is the skills strategy. That's on pages 11 to 110 of your agenda, and I think Natalie and Jamie are going to come and present it to us. So welcome, Natalie and Jamie. Far away.
Thank you, Leader, and good morning, Cabinet. The previous Hampshire Skills Strategy was published in 2022, and since that time, local enterprise partnerships have been dissolved, with the functions being picked up by upper tier local authorities. And there's also been a significant change in the skills landscape, with new programmes, funding allocations and changes to delivery. In light of these changes, the Hampshire Prosperity Partnership Board requested that the Hampshire Skills Strategy was updated to ensure it's fit for purpose and that Hampshire is best placed to benefit from the new opportunities and funding streams, but to also make sure that our skills programmes meet the needs of Hampshire's businesses. The new strategy has been developed on a geography that mirrors the Hampshire and Solent Merrill Combined County Authority geography, to ensure that it's a valuable document going forward, providing data, evidence and strategy that can be used in the development of key strategic documents for the combined authority. Whilst the announcements of last week mean the proposals for the combined authority for Hampshire and the Solent are being reviewed, the Hampshire Skills Strategy will continue to form a crucial piece of background material for whatever structure is in place in the future. Cabinet are asked to agree the adoption of the strategy and delegate authority to the Director of Hampshire 2050 in consultation with Cabinet for any minor amendments. Thank you.
Super, thanks very much. And I know that this has gone through a really good debate at the Prosperity Partnership Board, where Jamie was kind enough to come and introduce it in some detail. So before we have any kind of debate about it, any questions anyone's got? Steve?
Thank you, Leader, and thank you for the really good report. Appreciate the work as you just mentioned and as detailed in the report. It's a response to the integration of the LEP, etc. I wondered, with upcoming changes, in particular the mayoral combined county authority coming through, what impact that's likely to have on the skills strategy, and do we know how it might evolve to support that across the whole Hampshire and Solent region?
Yes, it's very much been written with that in mind. I mean, when it was first essentially commissioned by the Prosperity Board, there was kind of no immediate agenda around that, but obviously quite quickly it followed. So we've made sure that the work we've done is across the same geography. So it includes the cities of Southampton, Portsmouth and the Isle of Wight. We've also worked incredibly closely with the Solent authorities on this, and through the Solent Growth Board they're also working on a skills strategy too, so Jamie's linked up all the way through, so there's huge similarities. In terms of kind of going forward and how it will support any form of combined authority, one of the things that a combined authority needs to have in place is a skills commissioning strategy. That was initially one of the things that we'd have to do really early on, so by next September. We don't know the current timeline and how that will land now, but it's still a really important piece of work that needs to follow any skills commissioning work. So this will provide a really good kind of piece of evidence, and also ensure that a huge of that kind of early background work doesn't need to be repeated. So it's a kind of a really good building block for that further commissioning strategy to be based on.
Super, thanks. Any other questions, Jan?
Thank you so much. It's a really easy report to read and very interesting, so thank you for that. There are loads of references to businesses, large and small, and I guess delivering this action plan, it'll be really important to get that business buy-in. How do you propose to engage with local businesses and make sure they're cited on this and that they come along with you on that journey?
Thank you, Councillor. Yes, business is absolutely critical in this, and one of the key drivers for the strategy is to ensure that the needs of businesses are met through the skills delivery that both we do through our programmes and also through the universities and the colleges. Obviously, we have the Prosperity Board who have played a really significant role in this, but we've also been engaging at kind of much lower levels. We have our super cluster now, which engages across the kind of whole kind of breadth of businesses across the county. We also, through that, link in with business kind of support agencies like the Chamber of Commerce and the Federation of Small Business in order to kind of make sure we've got a really strong voice. We also have the Skills Partnership, which sits under the Prosperity Board, and there's really strong links between that group and the business group, again, to ensure there's that really clear direct feed in from businesses, what their needs are, and then the skills that are being delivered on the ground.
Thanks. Any other questions? Lily?
Thank you. Having spent over 20 years in this particular sector working, I was really pleased to read this report. I think it was excellent, and it's full of good ideas and hope, and I think that's really important. What other challenges do you see to this strategy being delivered? And I'm thinking particularly of the Employment Rights Bill and whether or not that will be a challenge, a big challenge, say, for employers, and how one would overcome, the objections perhaps to taking on a young person or fulfilling some training. So very much a practical question from me. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Jamie Mackay, I'm the Strategic Skills Lead, and I sort of help develop the skills strategy itself. So I think the area that I'm most excited about, but perhaps a little bit worried about as well, is work experience. It's working with employers to actually enable opportunities for young people to actually gain some of that work experience. Something that we've written in here is increasing numbers of employers that are looking to take on individuals that have got that work experience, but there isn't a great deal of work experience available. So you've got that quite interesting challenge. But actually, some of the work that we've already done with employers are increasingly interested in that work experience, and with some of the policy developments that have come through government with sort of a focus on work experience, we're hoping to work more closely with employers to get some of that work experience. And employers of different sizes, different types of work experience, and finding solutions rather than problems.
Any other questions? Stephen?
Leader, the report pays reference to artificial intelligence and the Skills Alliance and so on. The way in which the media are reporting the growth of artificial intelligence raises the danger that basically the use of it exceeds expectations and therefore the skill set gets left behind. Is that a danger, and if so, how can we address it?
Artificial intelligence, one of my favourite areas. So there's a great deal of hype, if I'm allowed to sort of say that, about artificial intelligence. Lots of expectations. I think we're going through that sort of hype curve at the moment, and it'd be interesting to see how it sort of plays out. From a sort of skills and training perspective, I think that the focus is on sort of lifelong learning, is on upskilling, is on identifying those skills that perhaps artificial intelligence will sort of struggle to sort of take over. We're increasingly seeing sort of young people entering the labour market and not necessarily looking for jobs for life, but looking to develop sort of a stack of skills to take into employment, to develop new skills to add to that stack and move into other areas. And I think increasingly we're beginning to sort of see other individuals in the labour market look at those sort of lifelong learning opportunities. So again, a sort of a call for businesses to support that investment in sort of continual training and professional development, and look at artificial intelligence as as something, sort of an additional resource, an additional tool to use, rather than an opponent, if you like.
Thanks. Any other questions, everybody? No? Any debate? Zoe?
Thank you, Leader, and thank you, Natalie and Jamie. As we know, the skills landscape is very complex, not just in its delivery, but the barriers it tries to overcome, the broad sectors and the funding it navigates, and similar to my colleague Lulu, 25 years in the skills sector, I maybe just want to highlight some of the challenges and why this strategy is going to be important. So what we do know is skills and investment in people and knowledge are key for unlocking potential and economic growth and prosperity. But unfortunately, that's where we are seeing the Labour government get it wrong. We know that increases to business costs, overhead and taxes have increased unemployment and reduced productivity and economic output. Businesses face hard choices. For many employers, particularly SMEs who make up the majority of Hampshire business base, higher employment costs directly influence recruitment decisions. For small firms operating with narrow margins, this can lead to slower hiring, reduced capacity to take on apprentices and the work placement that we've heard, or in some cases a shift away from offering full-time jobs. These pressures come at a time when we're asking SMEs to invest more in training, engage more closely with apprenticeship pathways and the youth guarantee and work experience. The rising costs of employment risk dampening that enthusiasm. And in rural parts of Hampshire, where micro businesses dominate, the impact is felt even more sharply, and in sectors such as hospitality and construction. This makes the case for local partnership and locally designed solutions even stronger. If national physical measures increase pressure on employers, then local systems must work twice as hard to make skills pathways simpler, flexible and worthwhile both for the learner and for our businesses. This strategy highlights why skills and real investment in skills are not just a matter of education policy and central government, but the foundation of sustainable economic growth, employment, and opportunity for our young people here within our region. The strategy paints a clear picture of both the challenges and the opportunity within our region. It acknowledges the skills are not only critical for our economy, but also for health, well-being, social mobility, and equity. Hampshire has a long-standing, strong, resilient economy with a working age population of around 1.27 million, with more than 700,000 people of working age, giving us an employment rate close to 79%, which is above national average. Yet beneath these headlines, figures sit the challenges that matter deeply to our local community. Skills shortages are one of the biggest barriers to growth across the county. Around 1 in 3 vacancies are reported for hard to fill because of candidates' lack of the right skills. This affects key sectors such as construction, health and social care, education, digital roles, engineering, and the wider green economy. These shortages slow production, resist business growth and reduce competitiveness within our region. For our young people, this picture is equally urgent. This is why the New Hampshire Skills Strategy is so important. It sets out a practical, local-driven approach with 6 priorities, aligning training with our economic need here in Hampshire and the Solent. Removing participation barriers, strengthening careers guidance, supporting digital, green and future-facing skills, deepening employer-provider collaboration and enable upskilling for our adults workforce. This strategy works hand in hand with our local skills improvement plan and its continued development, and also our Hampshire corporate strategy and our commitments. If we get skills right, we strengthen Hampshire's economy, support our businesses, create investment opportunity, and give our young people and our workforce the opportunities that they deserve. We also build a reliable skilled pipeline and encourage enterprise. The Hampshire Skills Strategy provides this foundation and evidence, which is why I will be supporting the recommendation.
Thanks so much, Zoe. Any other comments, everybody? Stephen, did you want to?
Well, there's just one reason why I'm minded to support this. We've got huge changes coming up in local government, timing uncertain, but huge changes in the offing. This has got to be one of the building blocks for a seamless join. So I think we need to put this in place and encourage people to respect it as a report.
Super, thanks. Any other comments from Cabinet now? Select Committee chairs. Anybody like to add anything? No? All okay? So it just leaves me to thank Jamie and Natalie for all the hard work they've done on this. I feel quite well acquainted with it now because we've gone through it quite a few different times in different fora until we've got to this point. But I think that point about us, it creating a base that shows that we are ready for whatever the new landscape looks like and whatever devolution brings. And devolution does bring skills funding for us. So it's just another example that we are ready and set to go with devolution, and delaying things for a couple of years is of no use to any of us at all. So I'm very happy to support this. The recommendations that we have are on page 11 in paragraphs 2 to 4. Is everybody in favour? Agreed? Thank you so much. Thanks very much for all your hard work. And so we're now on to the annual safeguarding report for Children's Services, and that's Stuart, who I think is going to welcome to you both.
Thank you, Leader. Good morning, Cabinet. This is the annual safeguarding report for Children's Services for 24-25. It's a really strong report, but I'll hand over to our Deputy Director, Steph, to walk you through the brief highlights.
Thank you, Leader. Good morning, Cabinet. So just to walk you through the main points, on paragraph 13, we reference the fact that we have now rolled out our community-based family help teams. This is for us to be ahead of the Children's Wellbeing and Schools Bill going through Parliament. Paragraph 17, the impact of this, or one of the impacts of this, has been an almost 15% reduction on our children who are subject to a child protection plan against a national increase. Paragraph 30, we evidence a lot of very strong performance, one of those being the timeliness of our assessments is sitting at 95% and has remained at around 95% for a number of years. Paragraph 33, we continue to have a reducing number of children in care, again against the national rise. Plus there is a lot of work that we're doing to try and avoid the costs that we know are associated with our children in care. Paragraphs 40 and 41, social work turnover is down from 20% to 14%, and our agency use down from 25% to 14%. And finally, on paragraph 50, the ongoing challenge of costs of placements. Costs are escalating despite everything that we are doing in our transformation space to ensure that we've got the right children in care. But as complexity grows, the costs of these placements are increasing. Thank you.
Super, thanks so much, Steph. Colleagues, any comments or questions? Zoe?
I have a question, and thank you for the report. The data is quite stark when we talk about safeguarding children. However, obviously there's some really good preventative and action measures in there, so thank you. However, what are the most significant safeguarding challenges we face this year, and how are we addressing them?
Thank you. This year, one of the most pressing challenges that we have, which is contrary to the fact that we have seen a reduction in the number of children on child protection plans that we have, is that we do have an increase in demand across the child protection system. So an increase in the amount of work that is coming into our front door, which has an element of safeguarding. And that has seen an increase of 24%. So again, against the fact that we are managing this really well, so we've got the right children on a child protection plan, the complexity and the challenges that we've got in relation to children who are complex, and also our partner agency confidence in how they are managing risk is increasing. So how we're responding to it is we know we've got a very strong front door, our multi-agency safeguarding hub. And I know a number of members of Cabinet have actually visited our multi-agency safeguarding hub. And we continue to review the work that they do and the partnerships that we have within our MASH. And we provide a very robust and timely response to our referrals. We've implemented our new Mosaic case management system. Now that's really improved the way in which we can report, the way in which our staff can manage cases in a very robust way. And we continue to invest in workforce sufficiency. Having really skilled workforce is critical in this area, as you, I know, understand and can imagine. We target recruitment, we have a robust recruitment and retention strategy, and we're constantly thinking about ways in which we ensure that we have the right children open to the right person, receiving the right support. And we're always thinking about how we address the emerging risks in society, such as child exploitation, youth violence, and look at how we use our workforce to invest in specialist teams to ensure that we are supporting not just our staff, but the multi-agency forum to understand what their role is as well in terms of ensuring that we are collectively managing safeguarding. And of course, these efforts are validated by our last year's second inspection, where we were rated as outstanding for our efforts to safeguard children.
Super, thanks so much, Steph. Any other questions, Stephen?
You'll see a theme developing on my questions, I think. One of the things that you have managed to achieve, and it's a huge credit to you collectively, is change of leadership in the children's services part area, and still maintain the outstanding in all areas accolade from our inspection. And that implies a very strong culture of practice and ethos which enabled you to do that. And there's huge uncertainty coming in local government again. And the question really is, how are we going to ensure that the safeguarding practices that you've got embedded in the culture here are consistent and effective across all our partner agencies now, but also in the future when all that change comes?
That's a very deep question, and it's the right question to ask. You mentioned the word culture, and it is about culture, and cultures perpetuate. They hopefully don't just end. Our workforce is very skilled, as are our colleagues in the police, the NHS. We work on frontline safeguarding, and that will necessarily just transition to a new organisation. Having said that, you need the right leadership. And so if you have the right leadership and the right culture, then whatever organisation, and however many of them there will be those good, firm foundations within them based on the practice model, the culture and the leadership.
Yes, and obviously I agree with that, and it's the leadership which will be a real challenge when local government reorganisation comes in. This is one of the services that the public like to be invisible. People don't want to talk about children with difficulties, they don't want to talk about old people with dementia and so on, and yet these services are absolutely essential and save lives. And if you start to get things wrong, then you get the publicity. If you keep getting things right, you don't get the publicity. It's sort of under the surface. So without disagreeing with anything that you've just said, I think it's going to be absolutely vital and a huge challenge to us in the future to make sure that the culture is transferred to whatever the organisations are in the future.
Super, thanks. Juliet, I think you've got a question as well.
Thank you, Stuart and Steph, very much for your report. Very encouraging points you raise. I just wondered, are delays in NHS commissioned assessments for autism and mental health services putting pressure on safeguarding?
It's a difficult question to answer. I don't think it's directly impacting on safeguarding. I think it impacts on families because they want a diagnosis. I have helpfully started a new joint board with the ICB to look at how we can collectively work to divert children who may be neurodiverse so they get the right support at the right time without necessarily needing a diagnosis. And that fits very much with our emerging work in children's services around prevention. So the short answer is no, I don't think it directly impacts on safeguarding. It impacts on resources across the whole children's system. Yes, of course it does. But I think our new work to divert those children is the right way to go.
Super, thanks Nick very much. Any other questions before we move on to comments? No? Okay, Ros?
Thank you, Leader. I just want to say it's been mentioned already that we are an outstanding authority and we've been judged outstanding by Ofsted in that regards, and that's actually really hard to maintain. And I think this report really does show the amazing work that the whole team in Children's Services does, and it is a whole team. It's our social workers, it's our partners, it's our schools, it's everyone really striving to make sure that children are safe in Hampshire. And this report just gives everyone a really, really solid assurance that our responses to safeguarding our most vulnerable children are carried out in a robust and a really timely way. And that's all credit to everyone within that team. So I just want to highlight that, the amazing work that you do, and that children, our most vulnerable children, are well and truly safeguarded in Hampshire.
Thanks. Any other comments, everybody? Juliet?
Thank you, Stuart and Steph. I'd just really like to thank you all so much. I visited the Multi-Agency Safeguarding Hub, which is mentioned in the report. The volume of traffic through the system is extraordinary. And I really commend all of the work that MASH do. And we all saw firsthand how there was an intervention and children's lives are protected and saved. So a huge thank you to the team. I'd also just like to say I really welcome the early intervention, and I'm really encouraged to learn more about Best Start. I think it's vital that early intervention is delivered. So a huge thank you, and thank you for the report.
Super, thanks. Colleagues, anything else? No? So we have recommendations on pages 111 in paragraphs 2 to 4. I think it's really important to just recognise the enormous amount of work that both Ros and Juliet have mentioned about this in not only maintaining our outstanding status, but also providing all of us with the reassurance that we keep children who are at risk in Hampshire safe. And we are all, as elected members, corporate parents, and that is something that none of us take lightly at all. And to have reassurance that we've got such an excellent team that do that job for us is something that none of us underestimate in any way whatsoever. So thank you so much for all that you do. All of those in favour of the recommendations? Okay, and we're agreed. Thank you so much. We'll let you go. And talking about safeguarding, it's now adults safeguarding as well. And Jason's going to talk to us about that.
Good morning, Leader. Good morning, Cabinet.
So, good morning. Thanks for coming on. We're talking about annual safeguarding and quality report for adults health and care. Over to you.
Thank you very much. My name's Jason Brandon. I am the Deputy Director and Principal Social Worker for Adults. I'm really pleased to speak to the annual report for adult safeguarding with recommendations which are focused on the positive progress and strong performance of adults' health and care, delivering the robust safeguarding arrangements in Hampshire. Despite a 45% rise in safeguarding referrals and increasing demand, adults' health and care has demonstrated strong performance in protecting adults at risk of abuse or neglect through the course of this year. This success reflects the unwavering commitment of our staff and partner agencies, really important to underline our partner agencies' part in the delivery to maintain robust safeguarding arrangements. The Hampshire Safeguarding Adults Board continues to play a strategic role in shaping policy and providing assurance across all the 4 local authorities across Hampshire and Isle of Wight. Provider quality oversight remains a priority, with the provider quality team and the refreshed quality outcomes and contract monitoring framework, driving market oversight, quality improvement and due diligence for the new contracts. Key achievements include managing high referral volumes through improved practice, training and tools such as the Safeguarding Quality Assessment Framework and dashboards, implementing learning from Safeguarding Adults Reviews, SARS, through the Enhanced Mental Health Support and Enhanced Support Project, and undertaking 3 large-scale referral safeguarding inquiries. Preparations for the liberty protection safeguards, modern slavery awareness initiatives and domestic abuse strategy developments are ongoing. The Hampshire Safeguard Adult Board has published its annual report and updated operational plan for 25 to 28. Looking ahead, priorities for the next 12 months including strengthening learning and practice, monitoring, improving our monitoring arrangements via our Care Director electronic record, refining referral processes, embedding feedback and learning from service users and carers, and maintaining compliance through training and policy. Strategic collaboration with the Safeguarding Adult Board partners will continue alongside the actions to operationalise transitional safeguarding focused on children preparing for adulthood, enhance risk escalation processes and preparation for potential legal and system changes such as the liberty protection safeguards I referred to earlier. These efforts demonstrate the Directorate's commitment to fulfilling its safeguarding remit and driving continuous improvement with partners and stakeholders. Thank you.
Super, Jason. Thanks so much. So, colleagues, any questions for Jason around this item? Ros.
Thank you, and thank you for such a thorough report. Just have one question. So how are AHC managing the rising level of safeguarding referrals described within the annual report?
Adults are addressing the rising volume of safeguarding referrals through a multifaceted approach that combines strengthened frontline practice, targeted staff training, improved digital tools. The introduction of the Safeguarding Assessment Framework and enhanced use of our recording system Care Director enables better oversight and data-driven decision-making. Learning from Safeguarding Adult Reviews is embedded into practice through initiatives such as the increased mental health team support, the Enhanced Support Project, and the expanded practice analysis meetings. Process improvements include developing a more robust online referral process, ensuring quality and consistency of referrals, reducing the inappropriate referrals we're seeing from some of our key stakeholders and partners. Strategic oversight from the Safeguarding Board and the refreshed quality outcomes framework further strengthens our provider quality and market resilience. These combined actions ensure that the safeguarding arrangements remain robust and responsive despite that growing demand.
Super, thanks. Kirsty?
Thanks, Chairman, and thank you for the report. It touches on the voluntary sector with regards to keeping Hampshire residents safe when in receipt of care and support, and I just wondered if you could expand on that bit.
Thank you. Yeah, a really helpful question. The voluntary sector are absolutely vital to our ongoing effort to continuously maintain safeguarding levels. They are vital to the success of the Safeguarding Hampshire residents as frontline contributors to the approach, delivering really important services. Our colleagues are also actively engaged in the work of the Safeguarding Adult Board and the Domestic Partnership Board, ensuring that it's representative perspectives from people with lived experience and their carers. People who use those services are supported really ably through the critical work with the Enhanced Support Project that's delivered by our voluntary sector colleagues and also our community wellbeing workers, which are really good examples of preventative work to make sure that we're getting to people earlier. Thank you.
Super, thanks. Any other questions? Stephen?
Yeah, again, the theme. Paragraph 46 onwards, you talk about the transformation of the multi-agency safeguarding hub, MASH, and that strikes me as an absolutely vital organisation within this discipline. Have we got everybody, looking forward, have we got everybody involved in MASH that we need to have involved in MASH to achieve a seamless join?
The multi-agency hub, as my previous colleagues described, is as you say, absolutely critical in terms of being able to manage demand. We're seeing, as referred to in the report, as a significant rise in referrals, which on the one hand is reassuring because that's demonstrating a greater awareness of the need to refer for safeguarding interventions. On the other, there is a reference to the number of inappropriate referrals that we're seeing amongst the cohort of people that are being brought to our attention. So within the Safeguarding Hub itself, we have a partnership with health, police and adult social care from an operational perspective, but in support strategically, we're working really closely with our ambulance colleagues in South Central Ambulance Service, for example, strategically within the Safeguarding Adults Board, where for that particular work stream, we're seeing an increased awareness with ambulance crews referring in, and we can clearly see there are trends and themes in terms of our need to be able to support a greater understanding and definition insight in between the difference between referring for a welfare issue versus a safeguarding issue. So I'm confident that within the key statutory and partner agencies that we've got in the Safeguarding Adults Board, their emphasis now within their forthcoming 3-year strategy is very much based on assurance. So the multi-agency partnership are able to identify the trends and themes and issues which are in turn then suitably brought to the attention of the various stakeholders to make sure that we can wrap around and work together to continuously improve. I completely welcome the premise behind your question, in so much that actually safeguarding our residents of Hampshire is a system issue as opposed to a singular agency issue, and I'm confident that within our board we've got the collective attention and partnership to be able to address the challenges.
Thank you very much. I found interesting that you brought out the distinction between referrals for welfare issues versus referrals for genuine safeguarding issues. It's a fascinating answer, and I think it's one that I'd like to see further reports on in the future as to why that's happening.
Thanks. Cabinet, any other comments anyone would like to make? Zoe?
Yeah, really it follows on, and I just wanted to highlight that of the point 48 and 49 on page 137. Really good to see that you are embracing that continual improvement and learning and the transformation strategy that has been implemented over the last 18 months. And as we've heard, covering things like system risk, volume weighting and response times, and very people focused. So I just wanted to highlight that. It's really good to see that continued improvement as we see the landscape change, I suppose, both complexity and demand, that need to continually look at what we're doing and transform. So thank you.
Select committee chairs, any comments? All good. So Jason, thanks so much for that. Oh, sorry, Liz.
Thank you. A lot of what I was going to say has been mentioned by Ros and Zoe, but I would like to say that safeguarding is defined as protecting an adult's right to live in safety, free from abuse and neglect. Now that abuse can be physical, emotional or financial. And any person in Hampshire with care and support needs who is at risk of abuse can access safeguarding support regardless. They don't have to be under our watch, if you get my meaning. The other thing I'd like to point out is 25% of safeguarding concerns which come into us will meet the statutory criteria for a safeguarding inquiry, which is quite a lot. And there has been a 20% increase in 24-25 related to self-neglect, and that's been over 2,598 cases, which is reflected in the national picture, but actually it's an ongoing problem. And in fact, just this morning before the meeting started, I had an email with someone referring another case on to us, which they think is self-neglect. I think that's all I really want to say, except that I would say safeguarding is everyone's business. If people have concerns, they need to raise them, even if those concerns are groundless. Better to be safe than sorry. Thank you. Thanks, Jason.
And that kind of took away the thing I was going to say as well about it too. So we've got recommendations on page 127 in paragraphs 2 to 5. I think that's exactly it. Safeguarding is everybody's concern. I think it's interesting that if despite the fact that the numbers of referrals are going up, that probably is more indicative of the fact that people are more aware of things and where to report it, which is a good thing. And therefore we're able to ensure that we step in and help people, albeit that it comes with a financial consequence for us all. Thank you so much for all your hard work on this one, Jason. Everybody, are you happy with the recommendations? Agreed? Thank you. That's unanimously agreed. And you're staying with us now to talk us about PREVENT, which is similarly important.
I think I need to get better about pressing my button. Sorry if I'm not there. Thank you, Leader. I am pleased to be able to speak to you, Cabinet, to the annual PREVENT report, providing information and assurance of the delivery of our statutory duties hosted within Adults Health and Care on behalf of the County Council. The UK and Northern Ireland terrorism threat level remains substantial, meaning an attack is likely, driven by domestic and overseas actors influenced by global conflicts such as the Israel, Palestine and Ukraine conflicts. These tensions have contributed to increased hate crime, extremist narratives and online radicalisation. Hampshire County Council continues to meet or exceed Home Office PREVENT duties with strong governance through the PREVENT Delivery Group and the Hampshire PREVENT Partnership Board, which collaborates across local authorities and statutory agencies to build resilience. Strategic planning, informed by the counter-terrorism local profile and the situational risk assessment, focuses on individuals drawn to extreme violence and ideological drivers. The Channel Panel remains effective, delivering positive outcomes through multi-agency engagement and recent process improvements following national guidance. Achievements include high PREVENT Home Office training uptake in the region of 80%, bespoke directorate training, enhanced school engagement and strengthened leadership. Hampshire received positive Home Office assurance with no areas of concern, confirming robust compliance and partnership working to counter radicalisation and maintain community safety.
Super, thanks very much. And this is obviously something that is at the forefront of quite a lot of people's thoughts at the minute, given the publicity that's been around PREVENT. And it's good to know that in Hampshire we are on top of things. Any comments or questions? Steve?
Thank you, Leader, and I concur with your comments. The country is under threat, and it would be a concern, but it is reassuring, incredibly so, to see the Home Office giving us such a warm report over the issue of radicalisation and extremism. I'm particularly interested, there's quite a lot of reference in the report to the channel processes and the changes that have been made. How have they actually improved support for individuals who are at risk? Can you just cover that very briefly, please?
Thank you for your question. The revised channel process has strengthened opportunities for early intervention. widened eligibility to include individuals with diverse ideological risks, improving flexibility and multi-agency collaboration, and we've been able to embed lessons from some of the national learning and the national guidance. Specifically, it's also resulted in more tailored and timely interventions, particularly focused on those who are vulnerable to radicalisation, whilst also introducing the broader reference of definitions introduced by the Home Office over the last year or so.
Thank you. It must be a very rapidly changing environment, and it's really positive to hear that we are learning constantly and evolving what we're doing. So thank you for that.
Thanks. Any other questions or comments, Lily?
Thank you, Chairman. It's great to hear about the 80% uptake on the training. Fantastic. And congratulations on achieving that. How is this monitored, and also the effectiveness of that learning? My memory of doing prevent training is very much an online quiz, test, etc. But I think it's quite different when you actually have to use that training. And so are there any scenarios, say, for example, to follow up the training, if it's online, with hands-on approach? Thank you.
Thank you. The training is undertaken by a high number of staff. As I say, 95%, 80% of our staff have demonstrated compliance with the Home Office format. It's been highly effective. It's demonstrated within directorates across the whole county, where there are opportunities for staff to play back and liaise with our expert prevent colleagues, different circumstances where they're uncertain about how they would identify a risk of radicalisation. So they have an increased confidence in identifying those risk factors as a result of the opportunity to undergo training. We've got, I suppose, increased timely escalation that we're seeing and supported and evidenced by the positive feedback that we're receiving from staff once they've undergone that training on the regular scheduled basis. There's also the opportunity for colleagues and staff to be able to access the Prevent Toolkit that we have that enables them also to be able to feedback some of their learning for the greater good. Thank you.
Super, thanks. Stephen, really quickly, please, because we've got a couple of time pressures.
Right, very quickly. I'm worried about the growth of political extremism alongside religious extremism, which is fairly easy to understand. Are you confident that we have the right mechanisms in place to cater for that increasing trend?
We worked really strictly with the Home Office and with the counter-terrorism police, and we take a steer from them. The main effect and influence of our ability to be able to work in partnership across the system is through our very well-attended and supported Prevent Partnership Board, through which we're able to profile and ensure that there are preventative materials and sharing of information suitably to be able to meet the ever-changing, fluctuating picture that we're tackling on a day-to-day basis.
Thanks. Any other comments, colleagues? No? Select committee chairs? All good? Okay, that's super. So again, thank you so much, Jason. The recommendations are on page 147 in paragraphs 2 and 3. Again, really important piece of work, and very much at the forefront of what we do at the minute. And great to hear that we keep updating ourselves around all of this, because it's an ever-evolving threat that we face. All of those in favour of the recommendations? Agreed. Agreed with everybody. Jason, thanks so much for all of the work you've done on that. Brilliant piece of work. That brings us to the end of our last cabinet 2025. Two things to say. Number one is that the singer last Thursday was not Sophie. I don't know where I made that name up from. Her name's Lauren Abrahart. So well done, Lauren. Apologies for calling you Sophie, just in the very rare off chance you might be watching this. And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody. And we'll see you in 2026.